Welcome to the Respectful Divorce Podcast. If you're considering a divorce, it's important to know you have options for how you divorce. On the Respectful Divorce Podcast, we explore those options and provide advice from divorce professionals. We also talk with divorce clients about what went right and what went wrong in their divorce. I'm Tim Crouch, and on today's edition of the Respectful Divorce Podcast, we're talking with Melissa Lenon and Leslie Howell, who are the co-chairs of the California Divorce with Respect Week that is coming up March 6th through 10th. Leslie's an attorney in Pasadena, California, and Melissa is a mental health professional in Santa Clara, California. Leslie and Melissa, thank you for joining us today on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
To be here.
So Divorce with Respect Week, what is it? Why is it important?
It's an opportunity for collaborative professionals, mainly lawyers and financial specialists and mental health specialists, to give free consultations to spouses who are looking into divorce options.
And kind of begin to understand what that divorce might look like and the things that they need to know, right?
Exactly. And there are so many things to know and so many mysteries, and we try to dispel some of the mysteries.
Yeah. So, Melissa, why is this an important event?
You know, the traditional route to get a divorce is just so prominent in society, and it's so little known what some of the alternatives are. And what a lot of families find is that these other routes like mediation, co-mediation, collaborative, actually, could either be less costly or they can be quicker, or maybe even more importantly is there's a better chance of being able to maintain a lot of the family relationships, whether that be between the ex-spouses or in-laws. But there is a tendency for using these alternative routes to lend itself to families staying more connected and ending in kind of a better place at the very end.
So this is relatively new. It's 30 years old, this collaborative divorce process. What led the two of you to get involved in collaborative divorce as an option for people to consider?
For me, I had been a trial attorney, a litigation attorney, so to speak. And I was going to court and helping my clients through custody battles. And it's very stressful and expensive and time consuming for spouses to go that route. It's kind of an unknown as to what the results will be, even though there are lots of laws that we follow. The judge's discretion is important in a litigated case. And it became very clear to me after about 10 years of practicing that families were much better off working through their process, through their divorce process more amicably, more respectfully, more peacefully, and focusing on their interests and goals rather than the law and what's the best that they could get out of a case. And so as I began studying and working in collaborative cases, I saw that was a very peaceful alternative to litigation.
And Melissa, what about you? How did you get involved?
Yeah, there's some similarities there to what Leslie said, like just seeing the toll that it takes on moms and dads and kids to go through the litigative process. And I have to say from my end, just really seeing the effects on children. And then so much research came out about how we know how things go for kids 10 years down the road and 20 years down the road. And especially in the high conflict divorce cases, how corrosive that is on lots of different relationships and on people's mental health. So definitely, finding a path forward where you can achieve the same end, which is getting a divorce, but being able to maintain better connections in your family, less stress. Divorce is still stressful. I don't think anyone's going to experience that without any stress. And then really focusing on how do we make this better for the kids. That brought me to this for the most part.
So in collaborative divorce, you've got your role as the mental health professional, or sometimes referred to as a divorce coach. You've got a financial neutral, and then you've got the attorneys. How does your role work, Melissa, in this? And then, Leslie, I'll ask you, how is it different as the attorney with your role in it? But Melissa, talk about your role in the collaborative process.
So for mental health professionals, I could work as a child specialist, and that would be the person that contributes a lot to figuring out a parenting plan and taking age and stage of the kids into consideration. Also, mental health professionals work as coaches for each of the spouses in this case. And one of the things we're trying to do is figure out a way through some of these challenges and the stress that's actually productive. And instead of getting stuck where, a judge has to decide, someone who doesn't know you, who doesn't know your kids, who's going to spend 20 minutes with you is making these decisions. How do we avoid that and actually bring a lot of resources to move this in a positive direction? And so I do a lot of communication, and even processing a little bit of what has happened to people so that they're ready to take the step to move forward and not be so much in what has happened before.
Is it therapy, or is it different from therapy?
Yeah, it's very different from therapy. It is not therapy. A key element is to bring therapeutic tools into the room and to provide all sorts of different types of support from a number of different perspectives that you would gain in the mental health field. But it's very focused, it's future oriented, and there's also this aim of, keeping things moving forward in the divorce with your spouse. So you're not just focused on your end. You're focused on your end, plus this bit about being able to move the process forward in the divorce.
Yeah, and Leslie, as an attorney, is your role different from if you were in a litigated process?
It's very, very different. In litigation, as a lawyer, we typically tend to run the show, so to speak, and we make a lot of the decisions in terms of moving forward with the case, whether to conduct discovery. We argue about child custody and child support and property division, and the lawyers tend to argue with each other on these issues, whereas in collaborative, we don't do that as collaborative lawyers. We tell our clients what their rights are and make sure they understand that. And we do the paperwork. But in California, down south in Southern California, we tend to use two different coaches, one for each spouse, and they handle the parenting plan rather than having two attorneys battle over a custody plan. So that's one example of how it's different. We don't sit and battle about money and property and children. Each professional has their own role in helping the clients get through it.
Yeah, and I guess we don't have a financial professional with us today, but to touch on that part of it, the financial neutral helps resolve those kind of financial questions that may be out there.
They do, and they gather all the financial documents and then they analyze them, and they help give options as to what might be starter discussions for how to divide property and plan the budget for each spouse.
So I guess maybe if I understand it correctly, one of the biggest differences here is this is an interest-based negotiation that is getting to what is good for both parties in the divorce. Would that be accurate?
Absolutely. I think it is definitely more focused on the family's interests and values compared to the judge ruling on the law and the facts.
Yeah. And I guess then the end game is after the divorce is over, everybody's a little healthier. Would that be right?
I think compared to the alternative of Leslie used this word, and it's just so true, right? It becomes a battle, which is often, just a headbutting, and who really is faring so well after a battle? Even if you win, are you faring that well? And I would add, the other thing I think that's very powerful about the collaborative approach is an interdisciplinary team, which, Tim, you're also talking about, that you bring the best of all three worlds that most affect a divorce to the table to work on behalf of your particular family at this particular time, as opposed to a cookie cutter approach, which is more likely to happen in a litigation situation.
So one of the things that's different this year for Divorce with Respect Week is that there's a national component to this. This is a California event, but it's going national, which means that there's an opportunity for people all over the country to learn more about collaborative during Divorce with Respect Week, and to learn more about their divorce options. Because for some people, collaborative may not be the best option. There may be some other ways to kind of come at that. And that's the kind of thing you get to learn during Divorce with Respect Week. If somebody is interested in having a consultation, what do they do?
Well, we have a website called Divorce with Respect Week, and you can just type that in, and it's pretty simple once you get there, wherein there will be many professionals who are volunteering their services during this week as to do consultations. And I think you would want to find somebody in your region if that's important to you, if you want to meet in person. Of course, there's also many professionals now who do virtual, as well as maybe the profession that you're interested in learning more, the type of professional you're interested in learning more from. So that would be financial, mental health, attorney.
Yeah. And if you're a collaborative professional and you're saying, "Ooh, I want to be a part of this," how can you go about becoming a part of Divorce with Respect Week in California?
You can go to divorcewithrespectweek.com and sign up there. All the professionals can just easily sign up and be a part.
Okay. So Divorce with Respect Week is March 6th through 10th in California and throughout the country. The website, once again, is divorcewithrespectweek.com. We appreciate you all joining us today on the podcast. And we hope that people will take advantage of this opportunity. You'll also find a link in the show notes to divorcewithrespectweek.com. Collaborative divorce is a better way to untie the knot.